Okay, watching the football game here brought back a memory. Years ago, God, probably back in the early 90s, Charlie and I were hauling a load from Odessa, Texas, up to North Branford, Connecticut. And to avoid New York City, we would take 287 around the city, and it would go over the Tappan Zee Bridge, which it's not the Tappan Zee anymore. I don't know what it is anymore. But right before the Tappan Zee Bridge, this is middle of winter, sub-zero, I mean below zero. It was freaking cold. And we come across this broke down van, which is on the side of the interstate. And there's just barely enough room between the guardrail and the painted solid line for me to pull over. And the reason I pulled over is because there was a lady walking away from the van, a middle-aged lady, a really old lady. She's probably like 50. We were a lot younger then, weren't we? And 50 was an old lady back then. That's funny. Anyway, all she had on was a blanket. She didn't have a jacket on. She had a blanket, and it was a moving blanket wrapped around her. And it was way, way too cold for anybody to be walking for any distance with no kind of cold weather gear on, because it was that cold, deadly cold. Well, anyway, I pulled over. Barely enough room to get my truck over. And she was a little bit reluctant to get in the truck in the heat. But Charlie said, it's okay. You know, when she saw my wife, she felt a little better about, a man and a woman, a husband and a wife being in the truck. And I don't blame her. It's strangers are stranger danger. There's truth in that. I mean, if nothing else, I would have just given the lady my jacket and a hat and went on about my merry business. But anyway, and this was in the days when cell phones were just coming out, and we had one of them bag phones, them gigantic suitcase phones that weighed about 50 pounds. And she got in the truck and got warmed up, and we let her use our phone to call her husband, who owned a gas station and a wrecker and all that. And we sat there with her, and eventually the police showed up and pulled in behind me. I'm sure they thought I had hit the old lady. I'm saying old lady. And she is 50, maybe 60. Of course, we're both older than that now, so that's how long ago this was. And anyway, the cop, in the conversation before the cop got there, the lady said that her son played for the Indianapolis Colts, and we're just watching football, and that memory came back to mind that her son was a star player for the Indianapolis Colts. And back then, I didn't give two hoots about football.
Yeah, she offered us tickets.
And all kinds of stuff. And I wasn't the least bit interested in football. And, I pretended to be impressed that her son was a star player for the Indianapolis Colts. I didn't even know who they were, or what they did. And Charlie had to tell me it was a football team. Anyway, that was our touch with fame. And then she left the earring. She took her earring off to use our cell phone. And she left the earring on the dashboard. What do we do with that, hon? I don't know. I think I redialed her husband's number and got the address and mailed the earring to her husband's gas station. And that was a long time ago. And I'm thinking that was like 91 or 92. Yeah.
Well, it was the blizzard of 92.
It was. Yep. 92. It was just an incredibly cold year and a lot of snow. And I was 32 years old, so 50 years old was an old lady. All right, that's my story.